Are we live? I think we are. Are we live? How's the sound? I think we are. Okay. I don't think that's bad, right? We are going live later than usual, because can you see me? Hello. Hello. Hi, Megan. Hi, Anna. Hi, Bitter Old Man, Melanie, Kate. Wow, got a lot of late live joiners. Never caught a live with me. Hi, I don't tiptoe. Yay, you guys are here. I try to look at it as, instead of beating myself up for going live late, as like, oh, we get to do a different time frame where maybe different people that don't usually get to join get to be there. Or, honestly, mostly focusing on just what's gonna be best for me. Because I was thinking about this, how I've committed to the promise is live every Sunday, and I've toyed with maybe going live at noon or having a time frame, but I think that I need some wiggle room for days like today where I was feeling sick. So today I had a whole plan where I was either gonna go live with one of my siblings. We were coordinating, having a bunch of ideas, and then it turned out that, that didn't work out. And so so weird. I was feeling great, and then started feeling sick. And I don't know if I'm feeling sick because I'm processing. Lately I've been processing a lot of trauma, and I don't know if that can like manifest inside of you, but I was feeling really good. And then it could also be that the other day I went to the gym and I swam in like chlorine, and I don't know. It's been like I feel a little bit like what I get mad when I don't know what it is, because I'm like, I should know by now because it's my body. But it's also like feels weird because I've been eating really healthy. I juiced, and I've been eating a lot of beets and ginger and just a lot of things that are, you would think that you would have a really healthy experience. But now I'm feeling sick. My stomach hurts, and I'm feeling headache coming on, kind of just like drained, hazy. So yeah. But yeah, I do think that I am going through something emotional too. There's been a lot of breakthroughs. Is that what you would call it? A breakthrough of like realizing things that I need to kind of forgive myself for, and I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but like picturing your younger self and the things that your younger self deserved but never got, and then kind of giving them to yourself now to heal those wounds so you can progress. That's been something I've been doing lately. Just validating my younger self, because I'm noticing too that there's a lot of like invalid, the order really, like the cult that I was born and raised in, not even just the cult, like my parents, the people I was around, just everything about my environment invalidated my entire experience, even to this day. Like they will still try to say that there's nothing wrong with the order, lack of accountability, so much hypocrisy. And it's so hard to validate your own experience when it's constantly being invalidated by not only your abusers, but the people that were supposed to be your protectors, right? Today I was going to do a whole live stream on grooming, because I was like, talking about grooming would be such a validating experience for me, and probably a lot of you guys in the comments, that I think a lot of us have been groomed, whether it was by, a sexual predator, or a parent that was trying to groom us into something that was unhealthy, or society, friendships. I think that we've all gone through some form of grooming in our life. So eventually I would like to do an episode on that. And I was doing a bunch of research on it because that's what I wanted to talk about today. But then after getting sick and like some of the things that I'm feeling, I'm like, I don't feel like I have the energy to do a grooming episode. And today's more so just because of what I'm feeling right now. We're going to talk about validation, and just validating yourself, and realizing that you don't need their validation, basically. You don't need them to tell you, yeah, what you went through sucked. You can know what happened to you. You were the one that was there, and your feelings are valid. I said something today that was kind of shocking to me, that me and my siblings were talking, and I was like, don't, we were talking about the Nexium cult and how there were some women that were branded and that left with literal scars, like physical scars from branding. And I was like, did you guys ever wish that we had something like that, like a brand? And my siblings were like, what? And I was like, because that's something you can't deny. Like look, oh, and the world sees it like, oh shit, there's this person was branded. Here is the evidence of what happened. Whereas a lot of us leave the order and we're met with a lot of invalidation of, did that really happen? Or that this doesn't happen in America. How come they're not getting prosecuted if it's happening then? Like there's so much invalidation, not only from inside the order, but also outside the order as well. And I think that you feel more invalidated when you yourself are still trying to find that, make sense of what happened to you. It's because I think that sometimes people ask questions in a very innocent way, but we feel like we're being targeted because we're still trying to um, grasp what happened to us. So yeah, it kind of shocked me that I said that, and I was like, I guess I need to figure that one out. Like the fact that I'm literally like, I wish we had something physical that we could prove what we went through, because it seems like left and right we're being invalidated with our experience. Mostly from the order, right? Mostly from the members who, and this is the thing, I need to realize this too, is like, even if we came out of there with a physical brand, there would still be invalidation, like these people from Nexium still get invalidation. Like, why did you let someone do that to you? All these invalid. And so it's really the thing that I'm going through right now, is to be able to be like, yes, that is what happened to me. Yes, these are the effects of what happened to me. And I think that the process of it is the hard part, is because you have to go through validating it yourself. A lot of us who come out of the order, I've seen this so much, where they leave the order, but they don't want to like disrespect their dad or disrespect the group, or they'll be like, I didn't leave because of polygamy. Polygamy is good. I just left because it wasn't for me. And it's like they're invalidating the abuse that happened to them for whatever reason. They don't want to put shame on their family. They feel kind of guilty for abandoning the family. Or sometimes people, I think all of us can relate to this. Sometimes you invalidate other people's experiences because, for example, let's say you see this person being abused, whatever way you want to picture it in your head, physically, mentally, verbally. This person's being abused, and you see it, and they're screaming out like, this is what's happening to me. You want to invalidate their experience, because the second you start to validate it, um, if you're personally going through the same thing, once you validate theirs, you start to see yourself in them, and then you start to have to unravel what you're going through. So this is why you see a lot of slut shaming in victims of assault. Like, people who have had sexual assault will slut shame the ones around them a lot of the time, when the ones around them have also had assault on them, because if they just victim blame the victim for the assault that happened to them, then they don't have to see it for what it actually is and realize that they were also a victim. Does that make sense? So it's kind of the way to run away from your own healing, by invalidating others and invalidating yourself, so you don't have to deal with how bad it really is. Because when you're going through, like for me right now, I'm going through, seeing it for what it was, even on a deeper level, and realizing these people that I thought were good people were actually the ones in putting me in harm's way over and over and over. When you're finally validating the experiences that you've been through, it can get darker and darker, and it puts you in a kind of a really negative place, to realize like, whoa. And that's why a lot of people run from it. That's why a lot of people don't want to validate it, because it's really a scary place to be sometimes, to see the truth for what it is. But when you can do that, you can finally process it for what it is and move on from it. Because I think that too, when you don't process it, or you're like invalidating the experience and you're like, that never happened, or what was she wearing, or da da da, you're taking on that you deserved it, or that they deserved it. So by that subconscious thought, like whoever's having this thing happen to them is their fault, then you're also doing it to yourself. So then it keeps repeating this cycle because of that invalidation. Does that make sense? Anyway, I just felt I was gonna talk about the grooming thing, but I'm feeling more, I resonate more with the invalidating and validating, and how to realize that you don't need anyone else's permission to heal from it, or to know that what you went through is actually what you went through. Oh, that's a good point, Emily. Invalidation is also hurtful for things that are a part of who you are. Example is when people invalidate you and don't believe that you, when you say that, when they say that you don't look autistic, you are not or don't look autistic. Right. Like, and I think that sometimes too, it comes from these people being like very innocently saying it, not realizing what they're saying, but it cuts kind of deep because it's like, so are you saying that like I don't look like what I am and that's a bad thing? Or I don't look like what I should be looking like, which is a bad thing. Also, all around it's bad. And I think that it's like just people that are more self-aware won't say things like that, and people that understand it more, I think it's kind of like a little bit maybe ignorance with those types of things. Because I've had similar things where people will say, oh, you act so much older than your age, you seem like you've been handling the trauma really well. And for some reason that one lately has been hurting more, because in the past I took it as a really big compliment, like, yeah, I'm doing really well, but now I'm like, actually, like, what am I supposed to look like when the trauma's not being handled well? You know, am I supposed to act out? Like, there are times where I'm actually not handling the trauma really well, but you by you saying that makes me feel like invalid with it. Does that make sense? Like, oh, you're handling, and for some reason recently too, I've had people be like, you're doing way better than you think, and I'm like, don't say that, because you don't know what's going on internally, you know. But I understand where it's coming from. I understand that it's meant to be a form of like endearment, and I think that it's because it's something I'm personally struggling with in the moment, and so it kind of triggers me a little bit. So I think that just being able to be super in tune with yourself. This is also something I'm struggling with, is when you think you've hit this breakthrough and you think that you've moved past something, and then it comes up again, and it's like, wait, I thought that I moved past this, or I thought that I was at this point in my life, how come this thing from the couple of years ago is being brought up again? And so it's like understanding that you're not this black and white human, okay? There's so many parts of you. It's not all the way this way or all the way that way. You're so fluid, is that the right word? And to accept all the parts of yourself. That makes sense? I think my brain constantly is like, worked on that, it's in the past now, on to the next, when that's not realistic. Oh yeah, happy Easter, you guys. This is like the first Easter that I like really didn't do anything other than like eat eggs. Did you guys see Shalise and Jonathan posted the video of baby Rhea finding her Easter basket? It was so cute. That made my day. Every time I have a breakthrough, something new comes up. Yeah. Yep, me and my sister was literally talking about that today, how it's like sometimes you don't even want to have the breakthrough because you know that there's another, like once you unravel this hill, then behind the hill is another bigger hill, you know? So it feels like a never-ending journey. So sometimes you just don't even want to unravel the hill, which also is okay. Like I'm starting to learn now that Catherine said this in her interview. Catherine, she wrote the Voices from Inside. I have her book here. It's all the way over there. Maybe I'll show it to you. Should I show it to you? Here. You stay right there. It's in my pile of books I'm reading. Does this fool anyone still? This fake window behind me? Ah! Ugh. I thought it was a real window. Yeah, I'm still trying to decide if this is gonna be like a normal podcast background. I kind of like it because it feels like newsy, but I feel like I want a more cozy vibe. What do you guys think? You can buy these little like sheets. Also, part of me feels like it's a lie. I'm lying to you guys. But I want something that's aesthetically pleasing for you guys to look at when you're, I don't know. Anyways, so one of the takeaways that she has taught me is she was talking about how when she discovered her dissociative identity disorder, she kept feeling, and I resonated a lot with, Casey says I like it. Okay, good. It made me think you were like crazy rich. I'm not. It's not fooling anyone. Okay, well, Todd, speak for yourself. She taught me that when she was going through her dissociative identity disorder, like discovering it all, she went through this phase of like, I need to know every single memory, every single traumatic event that happened to me, and I need to dissect it all, and I need to work through it all. And that's where I'm at. Like, I have to know, I have to uncover everything, I have to do all of the work, I have to heal. And so I was resonating with her when she was saying that, and then she was like, but you don't have to. You don't have to do any of that. You can basically enjoy your life where you're at. You can take it as it comes, or you know, like there's no pressure to have to fight all the battles right now. And it's so weird, like a lot of these interviews that I have, I get little nuggets of gold, right? That are like things that I'm going through right now that I'm like, I needed to hear that. And so it makes me so happy that I get to, like, it just brings me so much joy, you know, that I get to get the copy of the book from someone that I admire so much and have it signed, and got to sit down and have an over an hour long conversation with someone who has so many pieces of information that are so helpful for me, but not only me, for you guys as well, and getting to share that with all of you guys. It feels so rewarding. But that piece of information has been resonating with me lately, where I'm like, I don't have to do all the work right now. I've done a lot of work and I'm tired, and I'm allowed to kind of just sit in the place that I'm at right now and look at, you know, it's like I climbed the top of the hill. There's another big hill, but I can sit at the top of this one right now and kind of just look down at all of the progress and be grateful to myself, you know, pat myself on the back. Because I think a lot of times we get so lost in, Kate, keep going, and we're so in the mindset of push to do better, and we need to focus more on, at least I need to focus more on, you're doing good. Like, stop stressing yourself out over more and more progress, when you can look back and see how much your life has progressed because of all the work that you put into it. Guess what? You're allowed to enjoy the life that you've created for yourself. Did you know that? And I think there is some weird guilt and shame that comes with being happy. I have found like when you come from a home of abuse and I don't want to cry. Should we talk about this? Because I really don't want to cry right now. I've already cried a lot today, actually. I'll talk about it briefly. Coming from a household, which maybe the reason why I want to talk about it is because I think a lot of you guys might resonate with this. Because I think a lot of us came from, I hate saying broken homes, because what is a perfect home, right? Does that even exist? But a home where maybe your parents were depending on you to regulate their emotions. Maybe they were alcoholics and they took things out on you, or they're just emotionally dysregulated and abused you, or projected things onto you that you didn't deserve. when you come from a home like that and there's other kids that are still getting abused and you choose to leave, you leave with a lot of guilt. Like you should have stayed to protect them. You should have stayed to be a part of their progress. But and I find that when I'm happy out here and I find genuine happiness out here, I kind of ruin it for myself. I like smack myself out of that happiness because I I shouldn't be able to be happy when they're still suffering in there. And I take on this guilt and shame that it's not mine to take on. And I know that it was put on me because of a young age. It was my responsibility to, at 15 years old, to drive all the kids to and from school and to make sure that they got fed and to make sure that they got into their school clothes in the mornings and their hair got done. And all of this responsibility was put on me at such a young age. And I have and had in the order very genuine love for my siblings. And that's why it was so hard to leave them behind, and then after leaving have a lot of people in the order say that I abandoned them. So it was like they guilted and shamed me for wanting to save myself. It was like such a selfish act for me to, because I've talked about this so many times where I was suicidal in the order, but it's like such a selfish act for me to want to leave a place that made me want to kill myself. Oh, thank you for the donation. Poet Porcupine. Finally caught alive. Amanda, I have been following forever and I'm dying to know your theory about my other comment concerning Paul's wives being equal to 3 cubed. What? Did you comment that on here? Because I have no idea what you're talking about. That's such a good point, Megan. Your parents abandoned them. Poet, if you want to re-comment that, then I can, because I don't think any of us know what you're talking about with the 3 cubed. Megan says your parents abandoned them. This is such a good point because it's me taking on what's actually the parents' responsibility. And the reason I was feeling the need to take on the guilt, take on the shame, is because it was projected onto me. All of my mom's negativity towards herself was projected at me. All of my dad's, like, insecurities, emotional dysregulation, it all became my responsibility. So it's like it takes so long to deconstruct all of that. And I feel so bad for a lot of the people that are still in the order because they'll listen to this stuff and not even know what I'm talking about. They'll listen to what I'm saying and be like, okay, quit crying about it, quit feeling sorry for yourself. And they'll invalidate me because, again, if they validate me, then they have to validate themselves and realize, oh wait, I also am being abused and I also was forced to be a parent at a young age as a child. I was forced into adult situations that weren't fair that I was being forced into. Did I have a choice? All these things that they have to unravel. There is a lot to unravel, so sometimes it's better to just never touch it. In their eyes. 27 equals 3 times 3 times 3. It's 3 cubed. You think that he intentionally only married 27 wives? Only, like it's a small number. When I got my test results for a rare progressive neurodegenerative disease, I couldn't even process it because my mom made it all about herself. Oh, I hate that. I hate when something, then you feel even more invalidated too. It's like something that you're trying to process and go through, but someone else somehow becomes the victim in it. I had that happen actually with maybe I won't say exactly who, but somebody would not allow me to process something that was really heavy for me because it was like they wanted to gatekeep my my what I got to process and what I didn't get to process. Like, so if I cried about something, then they would say, "Why are you crying? Don't cry." Like they would flat out tell me not to cry. Like they should be have power over my emotions. They should have power over what I can and cannot cry about. And it was after my parents, like my parents did that, but then, and this is the sad thing, is because my parents did that so much, I didn't see it as much of an issue when this person was doing it to me. Later on, I'm like, that is so controlling and that is so emotionally abusive and manipulative too. To be like, now switch off your tears because I said, you know? It's like, who are you? And now that I'm at the place I am now, I would never be around someone who's treating me that way. But in the past, it's like you gravitate towards it because that's something familiar. But I'm sorry that your mom made you. It sucks because it's like now you have to process something that should have been processed earlier, but it was prolonged because someone else felt the need to invalidate you over and over. Which is like, I hate when people act like, I don't know. I feel like there's so much gaslighting in a lot of our family dynamics. People act like, I don't want you to process something because it hurts me when you're processing it, okay? And you're being selfish by doing that. But it's like, you are the one being selfish for telling me that I'm not allowed to have access to my own feelings. Quit gaslighting me. Ugh, I hate that. And this is something too that I think a lot of us have, people pleasing, right? Because you had to comfort her, um, and you had to be her emotional support. You were putting yourself on the back burner for someone else, which no one should ever ask you to do. Doesn't matter if they're your husband, your wife, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. No one should ask you to put yourself on the back burner for them. And so when you come from a family dynamic like that, where it was your responsibility to regulate your grown ass parents' emotions, then you become someone who probably has a hard time with confrontation, has a hard time, um, probably PTSD, and also you walked on eggshells your whole life because you had parents that were so easily set off. So it's, you dance around confrontation because it became your survival instinct when you were a kid. So as an adult, it's like conflict is so scary because it was scary as a kid. Maybe you got beat. Maybe it was literally your survival was to be able to figure out how to regulate your parents because they didn't figure out how to do it and they had so much power over you. So how you survived was to be able to be this submissive, let me make them happy, let me do what I need to do to, and so then it creates this people pleaser adult where you you get in relationships where you're constantly drained because you think that that's what a relationship is people pleasing all the time, no confrontation, and then it's a good relationship, when that's false. A relationship where there's not allowed to be any confrontation or any communication of how you're feeling and how they're affecting you, that's an unhealthy relationship. Conflict is normal in relationships, but for a conflict to cause people to for a conflict to cause someone to completely, you know, what I'm trying to say is you can have conflict without there being life threatening or screaming or yelling or like cutting people off. Like, conflict is a part of life because you're not going to have the same exact feelings and opinions and thoughts as someone else all the time. Relating to the 3 levels of the kingdom and the 3 tiers of the top. Yeah, I do think that numbers are really like important in the order. That they have a number system, and if you think about it, 3 goes into 9, and Paul's number is 9, and then 3 going into the 27, right? The 3 tiers of the kingdom of God, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost being a trilogy. There is a lot of new. I think it's not even just the order. I think a lot of religious people put numerology into things because of the Bible. The Bible talks about 7 a lot, and 7 is like a symbolic thing because there were 7 on the 7th day he created man or whatever, or 7th day he rested. Sorry. I'm a little rusty on the Bible. I haven't read it in a while. Um, Yeah. I think as humans, though, we try to find meaning in everything. What did Crystal say? Think about where you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago. You have gone and changed so much, grown and changed so much. I'm so proud of you. You are so special and so strong. Thank you, Crystal. Sometimes you just need to hear someone say it. Like, I can say it a lot to myself, but sometimes it's nice to hear it reiterated. It kind of reminds me of, I've been telling this story so much lately about Priscilla. Priscilla's birthday was today. What's today? Sorry. The 18th. It's the 20th today. So I was going to say yesterday, but some of the days have been kind of going by in a blur lately. But I've been talking about her a lot and how she voiced that when she was in the order, she was literally going to marry her cousin and she didn't want to. She knew she didn't want to, but everybody around her was reiterating, like, yeah, this is so great, da da da. And so she's like, I guess I'm going to marry my cousin. And then it took one person to validate her. And it was Rachel. Rachel was like, do you want to marry him? And she was like, no. And then she was like, then don't marry him. And she's like, okay. It literally takes just one person to help validate that because I don't know what it is. It's like sometimes when you don't have that security in yourself, but you trust someone else, then it like solidifies it more. And creatures of we're social creatures. You know, I was telling my brother this the other day. I was like, I think a lot of healing has to do with community. Like, yes, there's a lot that you can do to understand yourself alone, but you can't really fully understand yourself until you see it with someone else. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like picture something that you're doing or have done and you think you understand it, but then you see someone else going through the same thing that you went through and you're watching the process and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah. You get a different perspective of yourself by seeing them in an odd way, right? Where it's like, it's not you, but you see you in them and it makes you in a weird way have a better relationship with yourself and them. So yeah, I truly believe that part of healing is community or having doesn't even need to be like a whole congregation of people, but like those few people that are solid for you where you can be vulnerable and feel seen and heard. Oh man, you guys, my head is really hurting, so I might have to go soon. And it's so weird, like I'm catching myself like my breath. I'm catching my breath a lot in this. I don't know what it is that I have. I hope it's not super serious. But if it's getting worse tomorrow, you guys will probably see me live on Patreon from my bed. Again. Um yeah, it's coming on fast and I don't know if it's the chlorine water or I'm overexerting myself or maybe it's all the emotions coming through me. Someone kept saying the body keeps the score is real. Like when you're going processing trauma, it can feel physically draining. But yeah, I don't know. So, anyways, my mom is a narcissist and my dad has BPD. That is all they do is gaslight and be crazy. And they never see it, and that's what's so hard is it's so invalidating when you see it and you like hold the mirror up to them and all they can do is accuse you of doing what they're doing. Like you're like, great. And it feels like so draining because you try so hard. Like I've had so many relationships where I've tried so hard to show them what they were doing and put themselves in my shoes and be like, do you not see that you wouldn't even want to be with someone like you? And I've grown to the person I am today and that is the person that is not going to waste any more time trying to teach someone how to treat me. Like if they show you what your value is to them, believe them. Believe them when they show you the disrespect. Don't try to convince them that hey, I deserve better than that, so next time if they show you disrespect, believe them, and then you have to you're in the fork in the road, okay? The decision is, do I want to continue being disrespected or continue trying to say, hey, I don't like when you do that and keep trying to prove that you're worthy of respect, Or you go down the other path, which is only going around people and being allowing people in your inner circle who you don't have to explain what your worth is to. They understand it, they see it, they value it. And it's just understood. I spent so much of my life being like, hey, I don't like that, or hey, if you do that again, hey, when you said that, it's like, and then even though you put all that effort into it, they still are like, but I think you deserve to be treated that way. And you're like, but I don't. And they're like, but I think you do. Or they'll gaslight you into being like, but is that what I did? Is it, you know yourself enough to know what feels good and what doesn't, and um you don't need an excuse either. Like, I feel like lately I've been wanting to be like, hey, so I'm not going to be in your life anymore because X, Y, and Z. I don't owe them that though. I can simply remove myself and replant myself somewhere where I feel better, where I can finally heal. Simple as that. The only person you owe anything to is yourself. Like, you owe um, your dreams and your goals and your aspirations in life, you owe it to yourself to reach those. To be happy. This is the one life you got. No more people pleasing. The only people you be pleasing is you. All right, I am going to go because my head is pounding. I can it has its own heartbeat, you guys. What did Sammy say? I think there was some psychological anthropology research on depression and anxiety being an adaptation in humans around the same time. Larger community of humans. You are reminding me of a woman that I met on the plane who she told me she did the study of human anthropology. Anthropology? And I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. But it was so fascinating to hear her. You know what's crazy is the more you start loving yourself and listening to yourself, the more you start listening to other people and like validating them as well, and then having deeper connections with them. I don't feel like I used to even have these type of like, in the past I just like kept my head down, didn't really want to like to get to know anyone else. I didn't even have the energy to get to know myself. But recently it's like every time I'm on a flight, I make a new friend because I'm like, all it takes is that mutual respect and validation. And I feel like in my past I didn't even have the energy to do that. um I was gonna go somewhere with this. Also, you're reminding me of, if you've seen Arrested Development, I've been getting back into the show. Cause on that note of, yes, it's good to heal and dive into all those parts of yourself, but it's also okay to sit down and just zone out and feel safe in a comfort for a little bit, and like close out the noise of the world for a little bit. You deserve that too. There's a time of work and a time of rest, right? There's a time of working on yourself and diving into all the hard parts of yourself, but you also get to reward yourself and rest, and don't overwork yourself. So my I don't even like to say guilty pleasure. My downtime lately, I've been watching Arrested Development. It reminded me of the anthropology thing when what did he say? It was Tobias. He's like, I'm a therapist and an analogist, or an anthropologist, or something like that. And so he's like, he puts both words together, an anal uh rapist. But when you look at the words together, it says something completely different. Um I don't think that I explained that right. My head is like pounding. But if you guys want to watch a show that's just like a feel good, stupid, like little jokes here and there, that show's good. And I think it's on Netflix. And my favorite episode is season 2. I think it's called Amigos. And there's this very beginning scene is so funny to me because it's like they're trying to say like it's okay to make mistakes, but the way that he's making mistakes over and over and over is like, really? Anyway, sorry, I feel like No, maybe I'm not gonna say sorry because it's okay to have days like this, where I'm like, I feel like I wasn't my best self today, but I'm feeling sick. I showed up. I'm happy that I got to see all of you guys. Grateful that I get to have this community that we've all created together and that we could all hang out every Sunday. And I hope you guys had a good Easter. I hope that uh, you guys made there was a couple people messaging me being like stressed out because you're sometimes the holidays forces you to be around family that are negative for you. And those of you who felt like you had to do that today, I really urge you to reevaluate why you feel like you have to be there because they're family. Why you feel like you have to put yourself in harm's way for the good of someone else. And also flip the roles. If someone you really cared about was white knuckling it every time they saw you and like really didn't like being around you and your vibes made them suffer, would you want them to go through that just for your own selfish gain? And I think everyone would say no. So then whoever it is that you're feeling like you have to be suffering for, if they want you to be suffering, do they really care about your well-being, you know? It's not selfish to say, you know what, I'm not coming over for Easter actually. I actually want to enjoy my Easter. Okay? What was another quote on the show? He's like, the mom's like, what are you doing today? Like she wants to use him for something. What are you doing today? And he's like, well, what damn. My brain is like mush today, you guys. What's your day look like today? What's we gonna do today? And he's like, oh, I don't know, probably gonna have my day ruined by whatever you're about to ask me. Anyway, if none of this resonated with you today, then that's okay. And if everything did, then that's good. um, hopefully I'll see you guys on Patreon tomorrow. Hopefully my sickness, whatever it is gone, or else I have it figured out what it is so I can cure it. And I will see some of you guys tomorrow and the rest of you guys next Sunday. This week we do have a video coming out with my little brother Jakey. We talk about some deep topics and we're hoping to get on a schedule of more content together. We've been doing a lot of cry sessions. There's been a lot of healing going on. So, and we're reading, I posted on my Instagram, but we have 4 different books we're reading together. I gave him the It's Not You book, and I just specifically showed him one part of the book that I was like, I think you're going to resonate with this. And he did. And I really want him to, well, he really wants to talk about it too. So, anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and rest of your week. And I'll see you soon. Bye, Casey. Bye, Crystal. Bye, Sammy. Bye, Mark. Bye, Melanie. Love you guys. Bye.